the NUC and TUC strike. Recall that they began an indefinite strike yesterday, which was the 14th of November, and some bodies have joined the strike.
Yes.
Some haven't. There hasn't been total compliance. There has been partial compliance, and one of the major reason why this strike was put in place is over the assault of the NLC president Joe Ajaero in Imo State, coupled with other demands that the NLC has put up. States as such as Lagos, Rivers, Kwara, Bauchi, some of their workers have shown this labor strike, while Kano, Edo, Delta, Akwa Ibom, and some others have complied. In your perspective, how would you raise the compliance level between yesterday up until this morning?
Well, I in Lagos, I don't know about other countries. Other states rather. In Lagos, it didn't really feel like, back in the days when you hear when the NLC declares they're going on strike, the first thing you do is you have to stock up the house. You buy foodstuff because you don't even know when the strike would.
You would really stock up.
You would want to stock up the house with foodstuffs and just sit down at home and pray that power holding company
will not
will not withhold power and all that. But I think much of the fact is because they have been making promises and reneging on their promises. NLC, one thing I know NLC for, I'm not trying to sabotage any of their achievements, but one of the things I know is that when they declare strike, midnight before the day of that strike, you would hear that strike has been called up. And when you do that too many times, and Krumah have spoken about this, when you do that too many times, you lose the trust of the people, you lose integrity. People do not take you serious anymore. So I'm not surprised that the strike is partial. I mean, if they have been living up to the expectations, the last one they said was the mother of all strike. I was getting prepared to stock up the house, but they
got a trigger now, and now they are on the strike. And as at yesterday, about 19 unions have joined. They've shut their workspaces and joined the NLC strike. That's the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, the Senior Staff Associations of Nigerian Universities, the College of Education Academic Staff Union, the National Union of Food, Beverage and Tobacco Employees, the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, National Union of Postal and Telecommunication Employees, the Judiciary Staff Union, about 19 of them, National Union of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions Employees, the National Union of Electricity Employees, railway workers have also joined the strike, to mention a few. But one thing that is notable is even though these bodies, these unions have joined the strike, some of their sectors, or how do I put it, some of their bodies in certain states have not fully joined the strike. Konwa yesterday came out to say they have not gotten a memo, an official update from them about an ongoing strike and what have you, so they were not aware, and at the time they had not joined the strike. So all of these things, when we put them side by side, we will see that there's a very little, not little, but the compliance level has not gotten to the point where people will say. In fact, someone reached out to me and said, NLC is on strike. I went to the market, everything is functioning, there's power, doesn't look like it, transportation is still running and what have you. But today is the second day of the strike. We would see how things play out eventually. Do not forget, you can be a part of the conversation. Do well to let us know your thoughts on this headline or any story we'll be talking about. The phone line to call is 0700-1021-1021. I take that again, 0700-1021-1021. You can also send a WhatsApp message to 0907-224-5018. We're streaming live on Twitter at High Impact 1021 FM and on YouTube at High Impact 102.1 FM. We'll take a breather now. We'll be back with the headlines.
You're looking for an avenue to blast your brand? Why not let us be your detonator at High Impact Radio 102.1 FM with Got You Covered. For advert placement, sponsorship, partnership, Call us on 0706 393 5694, 0915 958 1881, 0902 745 3931, or send an email to info@highimpactstudio.com.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Hello.
Join us Mondays to Fridays, 7:05 a.m. for newspaper reviews, headlines, analysis, and comments on your urban lifestyle station. High Impact 102.1 FM.
Welcome back to the newspaper review on High Impact 102.1 FM. Let's start off with the Punch newspaper this morning. The headline reads Ajaro's alleged assault. Federal government knocks labor strike, records partial compliance. I have two writers to the story here. The first one is Tinubu not behind the attack on Ajaro, escalating strike nationwide. Unreasonable. That's according to the Attorney General of the Federation. It's coming from his office. Lagos, Rivers, Kwara, Bauchi workers shun labor. Kano, Edo, Delta, Akwa Ibom, and others comply. I'll take that again. Lagos, Rivers, Kwara, Bauchi workers shun labor, while Kano, Edo, Delta, and Akwa Ibom State comply. Wow. So basically, just like the headline read, partial compliance. But we'll see what happens today. But my question now is the reason for going on strike. Does it carry much weight? We would think that the NLC would go on strike for the fuel subsidy removal, the palliatives that were promised for the fuel subsidy removal, but they are going on strike basically because their president was assaulted.
Well, I think that it's not something we should kick under the carpet. The NLC is a body that, let's say they speak for the people in that term. And this is not the first time they're talking about embarking on a strike.
Yes.
And I recall that even before the assault of Joe Ajero,
yes,
the NLC had talked about on the 1st of October, they had mentioned how they had signed, was it on the 1st or on the 3rd? Between that period, how they had signed a memorandum of understanding with the federal government and how the federal government was supposed to meet certain demands within a period of 30 days. And I recall then that they said if the federal government does not meet those demands in the space of 30 days, some of these demands, they were going to embark on a strike. Now the 30-day period elapsed and conversation has started again as to how they were going to embark on. So it was probably just a trigger.
Okay.
The beating of Joe Ajero in Imo State was just that
the camel that broke
exactly. So
the
conversation around going on a strike was already on. So that incident just pushed it, and like, you know what, you can't assault. Apparently, according to the reports we're getting, he was assaulted. Some policemen. It was assaulted. Some policemen were involved in it, and what have you, according to the reports that we have. So this is not something that should just be taken with levity and just swept under the carpet. However, I think Labour needs to, understand the essence of the strike and walk in that line. We do not, as much as we want to get the best of everything, we do not want to be on strike for so much time that it affects what we're doing at large.
Christmas is around the corner. Nobody wants to go on strike just before. But yesterday, according to, I want to take a report here from Punch. Now, this is according to the Special Assistant to the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, that's Kamorudeen Ogundele, in an interview on television. Now, he stated that that protest that happened in Imo State, that there was actually a court restraining that ban of the protest, that they weren't supposed to go on that protest, but still yet they defied the court and went on that protest. And during the protest, that's according to him, that they were recorded violence, but yes, the NLC has not come out to state that they were involved in that violence, but the violence and what happened or what resulted after the violence was as a result of the protest that happened. So my question now is, if there was a standing order for a protest not to go on, why did the NLC go on that protest? That's if what Kamorudeen is saying is actually true. These are allegations, but these are his allegations. And my question again now is, now the reason why they are going on protest is because the president was assaulted. Isn't there any other way? Because
that is not the only reason.
Yes, I'm getting somewhere. Because I know when you assault someone, you can either report to the police, you can sue the person, you can drag the person to court. But I know there are other reasons, but it seems as if that's like the paramount reason. Even though yes, there had been other underlining factors that were there. The palliatives for the fuel subsidy removal, I think, is one of the major issues that they've been battling. They've been going back and forth with the president, with the presidency, the National Economic Council, and all that, and they've not actually yielded any results. So yes, those are underlining factors. But now, right about now, how many unions are involved in this strike? That's my question. And would they really get the support of the people? Because they are fighting for the masses. Are they also, maybe we'll get that response from our callers, are they also in support of the strike or not?
Well, like you said, our callers should let us know their thoughts on this. Do you think going on a strike at this time is a good thing? What's your thought on it? And considering what Labour is fighting for, call us, let us know. 0700-1021-1021 is the number to call. I take that again, 0700-1021-1021. Send a WhatsApp message to 0907-224-5018. Are you still on the Punch newspaper?
Yes, just above the plain nameplate, we have here, elections over, reform economy now. That's NPAN tells President Tinubu. I know yesterday Nuhu Ribadu made some revelations talking about how former President Buhari left the economy in so much debt and all that. But, well, even in as much as this is not the first time we are hearing this, administrations come and go, and new administrations enter, they will tell you that, oh, they met debt, they met this, they met that. But just like this headline is reading, reform the economy, I think that's the thing we should be focused on now. Elections are over, even the off-season elections, they've come and they've gone. Now is the time to put all that you have campaigned for, all your mandates, all you've promised us, renewed hope, every other thing. I think now is the time to really reform the economy, because the economy is in a lot of crisis and we need to reform that. Just beside that, we have CBN extends old Naira note deadline indefinitely. Well, there's also been talks about, and the deadline was supposed to be December 31st, much of which was the highlight of last year.
Someone came out to say, because this talk about the new Naira notes, the Naira notes, old Naira notes still remaining legal tender, after this administration came in, and someone was like, so some people actually lost their lives.
Yes.
Some people went through so much. Some people struggled so hard to get their own money, and eventually it was extended. When I remember the phase where people were using 4,000 naira to collect 10,000 naira, using the 2,000 naira to collect 5,000 naira, I'm appalled, and I'm like, okay, so eventually it still stays.
I can't even, I don't even want to recall or remember what I went through during that time. It wasn't easy, having to go to the bank and queue, and some banks at the end of the day you queue for about 3 or 4 hours and you get 2,000 naira.
They tell you there's no cash anymore.
I mean, it wasn't interesting at all. Beside that, we have Atiku converses merger to oust APC. Atiku converses merger to oust APC. I think that, but can really the PDP and the Labour Party or the NNPP, can they actually come together? Can they set aside differences, selfish interest and all that to come together? Do you think a merger can actually happen from now until 2027?
Well, I'll just keep our fingers crossed.
All right. We have just two last stories here. The first one is 35 trillion naira needed to return birdie of Nigerian student. That's according to the ministry. You can find more of that on page 7. Sacked agency members sue Adeleke, demand 2 billion naira. You can find more of that on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. And that's all we have from the Punch newspaper this morning.
Very quickly, we'll move to the Daily Trust, but do not forget to call us 0700-1021-1021. Send a WhatsApp message to 0907-224-5018. Now, on the Daily Trust newspaper, I inherited serious liabilities from my predecessors. That's coming from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. 3 riders to that story. No magic wand for economic crisis. That's coming from the CBN governor. Federal government has run out of ideas. That statement is credited to an economist. Hoarders, speculators responsible for forex crisis.
I like to take that second rider. Federal government has run out of ideas. Now, before you even have a dream to rule this country, before you want to come out and to your political party and say, I want to run this country, I want to vie for the president, you must have a team ready.
Now, that statement is actually coming from an economist.
Okay.
It's not coming from I'm trying to get into the details of that particular headline, so we understand that it's not coming from the cabinet, from the body,
yes,
from the government in person. I'm trying to get into the details so we know the economist that made that statement exactly, so that we are on the same page. But that story says federal government has run out of ideas.
I don't want to believe that the federal government has run out of ideas. I want to believe that according to what President Tinubu promised us, and from the appointment of the ministers, I think he has an idea. He has a plan. I want to believe that he has a plan. Some ministers have already started working. We've seen the actions of our very own Minister of FCT, that's Nyesom Wike. He's been reeling out policies, guidelines, this and that, and all that. So some ministers have already started working, and some would also, start working. So I believe that maybe because of the whole tribunal, the off-season polls, maybe that's probably one of the things that is actually stalling some of these policies from starting and all that. But I think maybe by next year we would see a difference from what happened this year. We will see a difference from the economy and all that. And just as the supplementary budget was also approved and all that, I believe that would also take care of the immediate needs of things that need to be done this year before next year. So I want to believe that the federal government have not run out of ideas. They have not run out of ideas. They have a lot in store for them. I believe that, just like President Tinubu said, he has been preparing for this all his life, so I'm sure he has a wealth of knowledge.
Right. Very quickly, because of our time, get more details of that story on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Just beneath the nameplate, anxiety in Kano Plateau ahead of appeal court judgment. Anxiety in Kano Plateau ahead appeal court judgment. That's on page 10. You want to take a look at it. Article 6 merger of opposition parties to checkmate APC. Article 6 merger of opposition parties to checkmate APC. I'd like to get into the details of this story with our guest in a moment. Get more details on page 27. Passengers evacuated as Port Harcourt bound aircraft overshoots runway. Thank God that the passengers were successfully evacuated. That's on page 27. Read. Still on the Daily Trust newspaper, Navy combs Lagos waters, intercepts boats carrying 90 drums of PMS. That's on page 17. Read. We'll tap into $2 trillion Islamic finance markets. That's coming from the federal government. And more details on page 19. And lastly, labor strike cripples activities in Abuja and state as union leaders chase out non-compliant workers. BUK suspends exams, hospitals, banks cut short. Partial compliance in Lagos, Rivers, and Oyo State, and NOA calls for strike suspension. You get all of these details on page 27 of the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, quickly, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper this morning. The headline reads, Amcon's banks bailout 1 year after takeover of Discos, darkness, liquidity, crisis persist. And you can find more of that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Besides that, or below that, we have again SEC moves to reduce 90 billion naira unclaimed dividends. Just below that, we have Zelensky accuses Russia of benefiting from Israel-Hamas war. The Israel-Hamas war is still there. A lot of lives have been lost, and we can only pray for a ceasefire. Below that, we have compliance defiance as NLC TUC indefinite strike kicks off. Below that, we have Article 6 coalition of opposition parties cautions against side to one-party dictatorship. All right, we have another one there. Fortifying custodial centers to keep inmates safe. Deter would-be attackers. Okay, let me take that again. Fortifying custodial centers to keep inmates safe and deter would-be attackers. You can find more of that on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper, and I think that's all we have on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Moving very quickly to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. NLC TUC nationwide strike records mixed compliance in states. Get more details. Every other paper has taken that headline, so it's very important. Saudi visa cancellation. Federal government urges calm, assures issue will be resolved. This story has been trending since Monday. How about 246 passengers were denied entry, and they have talked about how they were going to look into the issue.
Yes.
And now the federal government of Nigeria has urged them to be calm and have assured that issues will be resolved. Talking about bilateral relations there.
Yes.
NPAN to federal government provides succor to ease suffering of Nigerians. Moving on from that story, NGX to shed 193 billion naira as you want to read that up later. Away from that, Finance Minister unveils plan for $13 billion revenue from national assets. AFCFTA to lift 30 million Nigerians and Africans out of poverty by 2035. 2035 is
quite long.
In 12 years? Yeah. It's in 12 years. So AFCFTA is to lift 30 million Nigerians and Africans out of poverty by 2035. That's according to Moghalu. Federal government and House of Representatives begin probe of cancellation of 264 Nigerians' visas by Saudi Arabia. WCC can to federal government address economic injustice and religious persecution. Moving on from that story, we inherited liabilities, serious liabilities that's coming from President Tinubu. Osun governor dragged to court over board dissolution. And lastly, your appeal lacks merit. Abiodun, INEC, APC tell Adebutu and PDP. And those are the stories making the rounds on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Do well to let us know your contribution to any of these headlines. 0700 1021 1021 is the number to call. Send a WhatsApp message to 0907 224 5018. We'll take a breather now. When we're back, we'll be having a conversation with our guests. So stay tuned.
I want to surprise my guy with a good treat. Where would you recommend?
Girl, I've got the perfect place for you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, my family and I were there not too long ago. It was fantastic. And the kids loved it. The apartment was home away from home, the rides, swimming pool, 3D cinema, and the food. Oh my gosh.
Where's this place now?
It's High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort, my dear. It's just away from Lagos and it has everything you need to relax and have unlimited fun.
How do I make booking?
Oh yeah, call this number 0814-229-9509. Wait, are you booking a suite?
Why?
So I can tag along,
Nikini. High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Fun just got real.
Join us Mondays to Fridays, 7:05 a.m. for newspaper reviews, headlines, analysis, and comments on your urban lifestyle station. High Impact 102.1 FM.
Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. You're still listening to Newspaper Review on High Impact 102.1 FM, and we have our guest in person of Sheson Kwade, who joins us on the show this morning. Thank you for joining us, Sheson Kwade.
Good morning, Sarah, and good morning to all. Morning,
Olumide is in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning, Olumide. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning to all our listeners across the world. This beautiful Wednesday morning.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Straight into the business of the day. First off, let's kick off with this NLC and TUC strike. In your area where you are, what is the compliance level and what is your thought on this strike generally, considering the fact that they are majoring on the assault of the NLC president in Imo State? We'd like to get your perspective on it and the compliance level in your area.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm in Lagos, and the area where I am, there is no compliance as far as I'm concerned. Everyone seems to be going around their normal business activities, and you will not even have a peak. Except for yesterday morning, I got a glitch about picketing the distribution company, but I think they have a weight into it because our light is still up and running. So for me, the compliance may be in some other states, but for us in Lagos, I think there is no 100% compliance as expected, except maybe for Picket area where the union has a strong grip within themselves. But be that it may, I'm part of the people that sincerely did not support the strike. Why? I've not seen instances where we've seen the hardship that the economy and average citizen is going through currently. And the strike is not bothered around how to checkmate the activities of the government. We have asked the union several times, how much of it have we put together on the part of we asking where is our refinery? Look at it. Somebody is telling me that the NLC president, or I read and I heard, that it's actually out of the country to take, health facility as against. These are the same thing we are telling the politician. What difference does that make? We are supposed to be here. Are you telling me that what actually happened, there is no medical facility that can take care of that within the country? And the next thing we could do is to call on strike, and the hardship individuals are facing, you are increasing it with that activity. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a welcome idea, because not at this point do we need this for the citizen. If you are going to go on strike, it should be things that will check the activities of the government. The foreign exchange keep going higher every day. Power supply is really not there. The cost of alternative power supply is not there. The health sector is not functioning. That's why the LLC chairman, president, has to travel out of the country for his own medication.
Right.
So what strike are we actually having? So I think we should be more focused. If you compare the strike activity of the likes of Oshiomhole, and now you discover there is a complete shift of what it used to be, and it's quite disheartening what we are faced with. I think the economic hardship should be an area of focus rather than we looking at individuals. I know this will not fly, because look at the activity that they did in Abuja last week, Thursday, affecting individuals, and you want to call the same set of people to join you for the strike?
Sheson Kwade, let me interrupt you for a bit now. Now, okay, you're one of the people that believes that the strike is not coming at a good time. However, the NLC and TUC have begun the strike already, even though there hasn't been absolute compliance. Do you think that this particular industrial action is going to bring that results that the NLC have been clamoring for from the federal government? Or do we see a case where after some meetings and conversations, the NLC calls off the strike again, and then they come back after some weeks and say, oh, the federal government did not meet? There's been that back and forth over time, and some people are of the opinion that it's time for NLC to just take the bull by the horn and do what they need to do. Do you think this is going to work out, or we're going to see ourselves in that same situation of going around in circles again?
Sarah, is the same circle, if you ask me, and why? The foundation on which this union is riding on is really not welcomed by majority of the citizens of the country. We will always say that they are part of the policy formulators, policy implementation team, because they work with the government. How much of some of these activities, they are the civil servants that are out there. How much of this policy do we hear them communicate back to the government? For over 20 years, we've been talking about our refinery. We have the Penguin, we have this union who work for the government. Are they not? You are aware of the non-functioning of the refinery, and people are collecting salary. Who are the people collecting salary? Is it not the same labor? So for me, I don't have confidence any longer in the union. It's my personal view, because they are not addressing the cogent issue that can impact on an average citizen of the country, and that's quite disheartening. So for me, I feel they need to go back to the drawing board, readdress the issue, and let's talk issues that will impact. Look at it. I'm sure you are aware during the time of Oshiomhole, when they call out for strike, they know that what they're actually fighting for, if they don't get 100%, they will get at least 60 to 70% of it. But what is it these days? You always hear the story that the same status quo is what will go. But after maybe today, tomorrow, they will go on a round table and you will come back that they are actually, because of we the citizens, they are actually shifting their ground to listen to what the government will do. But you've already affected us for 2 days, 3 days, impacting on businesses. So I think I will subscribe to going back to re-strategize and first win the confidence and trust of the people as against whatever they feel they may be doing now.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to take you up on the Daily Trust newspaper, the headline that states, I inherited serious liabilities from my predecessors. That's according to President Tinubu. My question now is, different administrations come in and we're always hearing this. It sounds like a broken record. I inherited debt, I inherited this and that. But judging from the past administration of former President Buhari and this new administration, which a lot of people have said that they are not running a lean government. They have over bloated budgets and all that, supplementary budgets and every other thing. How would you compare both administration, even though this new administration is just kicking off?
Yeah, the statement from the presidency to me is part of it. Maybe because I'm a finance person, and I'm sure the president is my senior colleague. When you are taking over responsibility, you take over both the asset and the liability. We are only hearing about the liability. How about the asset that is the last administration to put to grant? So we should be able to balance some of those things, except we are saying that the last administration did not actually invest in things, of which we know there are a few things that they gave back to us as assets for this country. So it's something that they would have had a foreknowledge about before taking over the administration. What we think they need to do is strategize and give the dividend of democracy as promised by them. That they are telling us this is what we know. We all know what actually transpired with the last administration. So it's what we know. Even the common man on the street understand that that is the problem that we are faced with. But they promised us that there are a lot of strategies that they have actually put in place to make sure that they salvage the situation. And I think that is what we are expecting from them. Going to the aspect of overbloating and living large is something that is giving so many citizens so much worry. If we complain that we don't have so much money, how do we have the legislator buying so much vehicle? How do we have even the executive a lot of budgeted amount, as we speak, on the activities that are not having direct impact on the citizen? So we need to balance the act and look for a way to make sure that we do the needful. I can tell you, Lumide and Sarah, the citizens are groaning. It's becoming an issue where even individuals find it difficult to move out freely on the aspect of not even being attacked. Just where people don't even know that you are driving on the road, you are really struggling to make ends meet. So government should be strategic in what they are doing in such a way to provide infrastructure for the investment of our skill, our labor, our intellect, to give back to them. If our economy is working fine, individual businesses will pay their taxes and they will get revenue. We have like they are suggesting, a lot of government assets is lying fallow, not being utilized. These are things that can generate revenue to the government, and we need to come and streamline, create a lean, government expenditure, not the current one that we are actually saying. It's cause for worry. It's worrisome that currently the level of expenditure being embarked upon by this administration, we might be worse off than the last administration if it's not checked.
Right. All right. Just one last question. I know this is not new. Year in, year out, we're always hearing of this Abacha loot being repatriated back to Nigeria. Every year we hear this. But most of the time, we do not know where that money, that large sum is going into, which sector. And the government has not always been transparent about this. All we just hear is certain money has been repatriated back to Nigeria. What's your thought on this?
You see, the insincerity on the part of our leaders. People like us, we always say we hunt them after they exit the office. Why do we say this? I'm sure it's in the public domain so much that we have recouped back from Abacha loot. Not just that alone, other money from other individuals. Not too long did I hear the former accountant general, disbursed back some of the funds that was actually looted. And I asked myself the question, we said it during the last administration, can we have specifics that these recoveries are actually used for? Is it invested in the power sector? Can we be transparent enough to see that, okay, this is the record of things and this is how it's going to be? But we've not had that. So we some of us have retired to faith to say, well, it's going to be the same set of story that we've always been hearing, just that the citizen are the one that cry fouls, when these issues happen. Not only about Abacha loot, I'm sure if you see the kind of humongous funds that are in the hands of individuals, even with the last administration, you ask yourself, are these our leaders, out there to serve the nation, or they are out there to, enrich their pocket? You see some people before they get to power, what their capacity is financially, and then after, taking over, political offices, some of them are even richer than the state that they are governing, and they will tell you that they already made their money before they get to power. I think the anti-corruption agency needs to rise up to expectation, but it's been worrisome because most of the time in the last few years, what we've been saying is that the hunter is even being hunted by seeing that some of the recoverables that we expect them to even show transparency on, you see some of these leader of those agencies being indicted of one issue or the other. So I think our leaders need to just take the right position so that we, the citizen, we can breathe.
Okay, thank you so much for your thoughts on that, Sheson Kwadi. Very quickly, there's this headline we can see it on the Punch newspaper as well as the Daily Trust. How former Vice President and presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, is conversing merger of other political parties, of opposition political parties, to oust the APC. Now, according to him, he made this statement through his media advisor in person of Paul Ibe, and he said this to warn Nigerians against slipping into a one-party state. So he has called on other opposition parties to join hands together to oust the APC. I'd like to get your reaction to this.
Yeah, well, it's a right word from the VP. My concern is that different parties with different ideologies, how do you intend to consolidate your ideas together? But it's something that I know achievable because, bulk of the people in LP actually came out from PDP. Some of the people that moved out of APC, dissatisfied, actually went to PDP and LP. So because of the lack of ideology on the part of our political parties, I think it's something achievable. But like we keep saying, it's good that we have strong opposition in such a way that they can critique, objectively some of the activities of the current administration. We need it. ACN did it during the time of PDP, and that was what gave them, the leeway to what we are enjoying today. If they can consolidate, you can imagine if LP has consolidated with PDP to have an agreement on part of the things that they will be doing. By now, we will be talking of maybe they will be in power. So it's a right word, because we need opposition to check the activities, but it must be constructive and objective, so that they will look at some of the economic things and make suggestions. Don't just criticize. Make suggestions on the way out and let people just know. If they put it to test, we'll put the government on their toes to say, these are other alternatives. If you have done it this way, why not consider this alternative, just like PDP did during your own tenure? And that might even give them an edge, maybe by 2027, to say, well, since this current administration are unable to give us the right thing desired, and we have alternative with some of their suggestions, I think we can go with them. So it's a good thing if they are able to put their house in order for them to achieve that particular thing.
All right, Sheson, let's scale this now. Let's look at these political parties individually, like the opposition parties. Over time, we've seen sometime before the case got to the Supreme Court, a conversation like this came up as well, where they were asked to, I think that was from the PDP, asked Labour Party to join so that they can, fight the case together. But there was a decline. Looking at the peculiarity of our electoral system and the kind of political parties we have and operate, how feasible and how sustainable do you think a move like this would be? And do you think if this eventually plays out, it's going to go well without us having any sort of rancor again or any issues brewing up after a short period of time? I'd like us to, rate this on a scale.
Yeah, Sarah, if you ask me, it's achievable. The current APC was conglomerate of ACN, CPC, and I think one other party that came together to form APC. So, and what those individual leaders did, because you see, our political parties, it rolls around individuals and not the ideologies of a conglomerate of people. So you discover that it is the direction of the leader that everybody might tend to follow. If APC was able to achieve it years back, if individuals are able to share their sword in such a way to give room for collective reasoning out with a good result. What produced APC was conglomerate or consolidation of three parties there. And if Labour can, consolidate, but part of the things I consider as a challenge is that these political parties rove around individuals. If not so, look at the election that are happening in individual states. How much of visibility have you seen on the part of Labour Party? you see they've been far from it. In fact, you can't see them in the first 3 or 4. It's to tell you that the party is built around the presidential candidate, and without his endorsement, because I did not see him in any of the campaign of some of those candidates of the other party. And how much of it did you see, even with the PDP candidate too? So these are things that give so much worry. If you must consolidate issue, it must be a collective ideology of different people, that if the main man that is fronting it is not there, other people can galvanize. This is not the PDP we used to know, in time past. But suddenly, just imagine SDP defeating PDP in Kogi State with that candidate who has been a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it's to tell you that there seems to be internal crisis within those opposition parties, of which they must first consolidate if they must move on. And our idea about political parties is really not the best as compared to what is obtainable in the developed climate. It must be built around ideologies of several people, just like we have during the time of Awolowo, Zik. They are just there to give leadership. But you have other people that can carry on the baton if the main person is actually not there.
Right. Sheso Akade, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing your thoughts with us on these headlines. It's been a pleasure speaking with you this morning on the newspaper review.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sarah and Olumide, for having me. And I want to say at this point that the citizens should continue to, look out for ways to create happiness for themselves. We understand that the economy is tight, but definitely is a passing phase. We'll always get to the end of it and will enjoy the dividend of this nation, because we are indeed blessed. All we need is the leadership direction. Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you. All right, we have a caller on the line very quickly. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, this is Emmanuel from Ogun State.
Emmanuel, please go ahead.
I just want to appreciate the analyst. I'm so much happy because we need this kind of robust analysis for us to understand. Not the one that will come with bitterness, with hatred, like one particular doctor, Dr. Kayode. Please, I'll be analyst to keep it up. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing with us. Right. Quite a robust analysis from Sheso Okwade there, and I hope that we'll be able to learn, the government will be able to adopt some of these things, that some of the strategies.
Yes, and I like he made mention of something that Nigeria is actually blessed with so much. It's just we just need the right leadership. We need the right pilot, the right captain to steer us in the right direction, and I think that's all we just need. I mean, we look at all other countries, superpower countries. I mean, they don't have half of what Nigeria has. We are so blessed with so many resources, and it's just how to manage this numerous gifts that has been given to us. I mean, on a platter of gold. And I think that's all we are. But just like you said, as citizens, as Nigerians, we just keep forging ahead. We just have to have that optimism that we would enjoy the dividends of democracy.
Right. That's it for the show today. Our time is fast spent and we need to go. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the newspaper review. Remember to follow us across all of our social media platforms at High Impact 102.1 FM and _ news around the globe. I am Sarah also, until I see you tomorrow. To stay safe.
And I am Olumide Shokoya. Please stay safe.
Are you looking for an avenue to blast your brand? Why not let us be your detonator at High Impact Radio 102.1 FM with